Oh gosh. Yes.
Now we're live streamed, okay?
Got it.
What's David doing?
Okay, are we live? Is it working?
We're live apparently.
Woohoo!
Yeah.
Hi, Joe.
Hi, how are
We
you?
can't hear you though, David.
You're
You're
on mute. It's always the last minute technical hitch. Nope, can't hear anything, honey. I wonder if...
There we go.
Yes.
Now you're off mute.
Yes.
Yes.
Hey, so we are
Okay.
live. Welcome everyone. This is the first time I do live streaming. So I hope everything is working out. I don't know if someone has any way to check.
Yeah, I'll jump on my phone and check.
Yeah.
If it all
Mhm.
works.
On my phone as well, it's working
Oh,
beautifully.
cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're on the group.
Yes, we're in.
Yes, welcome everyone to this amazing topic of conversation about parenting in these times of great change and parenting from our hearts, from our heart portal. So this is an amazing title for really good conversations. So I'm happy we're here and sharing our distinct, different perspectives and yeah, everything that we can add to this amazing topic. Is anyone feeling they want to start saying something about it or?
Oh, look, I'll start. I'll jump in. So yeah, lovely to be with you all. And I'm Zoe. I'm a mother of two. I have a boy and a girl, currently 7 and 11. When I came into parenting, I felt that the most important thing I needed to come in with was consciousness and approaching parenting as though it was something that I needed to completely rethink and rewrite. So from the moment I started, from conception through to my birth prep, through to, you know, how I held my new baby, all of that, I really was aware that I didn't want to come from a habitual mindset and society's conditioning, because I believed that fundamentally we've been making mistakes and as a culture. And so I did a lot of research in my pregnancy as to how I wanted to bring my children into the world. And, you know, now sort of over a decade on, I'm seeing the benefits of that. I'm seeing, you know, my children who feel earthed, they feel grounded and safe and well attached and nourished by life, and they celebrate, you know, the joys of life, and they feel all the emotions that we're meant to feel, you know, in these human bodies. And but you know, from the beginning, I really do feel that we need to think about how these incredible spiritual beings land into the planet, and to treat them like these ancient beings that they are, and not to treat them like little people who know nothing, because they really do know so much and they bring so much. And so I've always seen parenting as, you know, the importance being that I create a vessel of safety to nurture who they already are. My job is not to make them into anything, but to get out of the way so that they can fully come through as they are in their magnificence, and to help guide them too. You know, it's not always easy navigating the earthly realm. We all know that. So I guess where I put some of my parenting attention, you know, which is important to sustain that heart center that we're talking about today, is on, you know, if I was a little being coming into this earthly world, how would I like to be received? And, you know, I've always treated, sorry, my little dog's going off up the hill. I hope that's not bad for the audio. So how would I like to be received into the world? What sort of level of welcoming would I like, on an energetic level, on a spiritual level, on a physical level too, because these little humans come in with so much sensitivity, you know, so lighting and sound and touch and all of those things come into account, and that's just their first sort of arrivals earthside. There's a whole lot more that happens before then, obviously, too, with how we conceive our babies, the prep we do with our bodies to prepare to receive our babies with conception, so that our vessels are as clean and available and, you know, purified in a sense as possible, as we can with the earthly realms that we dwell in. And, you know, probably I want to make sure everyone's got time to talk, but, you know, the other thing is when our, you know, so I guess my babies were born home birth. This was my choice, in water. I felt like this was the easiest transition. So I feel very blessed that I was able to do that. And I also want to say there, because, you know, speaking to a lot of parents who maybe had high ideals of what they wanted their babies to experience, that maybe didn't have those experiences, either because there was some sort of medical intervention that was maybe required, or for whatever reason it didn't go as they want. I just want to say, as parents, this is the humbling journey of life. We do our best, you know, we turn up in our full presence, and then we have to surrender to, you know, to the flow of life that maybe our babies have also chosen, and as to how they come into the world. Yeah, as parents, we really are their sort of energetic guardians to do the best we can, and to nourish their bodies and their beings and their spirits, and to try and minimize the impact of our modern world on their psyches, and you know, so that the earthly realms don't have to be as invasive. So I guess what, you know, I'll speak a lot more to that as we cycle around, but, you know, creating the ability and the time to be rhythmic in life, so that we're not constantly pushing and hurrying our children through life, which is so much a part of the modern world. Yeah, I'll pause there because I know there's so much we all can share, so much wisdom here. Thank you.
Thanks, Zoe. I'm going to jump in there because I think Zoe and I, it's worth noting to our audience that none of us have actually met in person, I don't think. We were just talking quickly before we jumped on, and it's no accident that we all ended up in this talk. My name is Christy Lee Rackham. I've got 2 children who in the medical scene are classed as neurodivergent, or ADHD, ASD, EDS, how many labels do you want? But I really love listening to you, Zoe, because I was one of those ones who had the high ideals and everything went to pot once the kids came in, you know. I think it's really worth, you know, noting that the reality that our earth is going through at the moment, people are at all sorts of different stages. I'm what you would call a bridge. So whilst I was able to, you know, channel and see alternative realms from a very early age, I was highly sensitive as well, like these children, your children, Zoe, and the children of the people that are listening to us probably. I was one of those, and born into a world that didn't understand that kind of wiring, that kind of approach to the world. You know, you get stomped down very easily, you get suppressed, you start to learn to put on masks and coverings and skins that don't belong to you, that are not designed for you, instead of remembering the brilliant being that you were born to be. And so, speaking from an adult's perspective, as well as my children, I find that a lot of the people I work with are coming out of that neurodivergent understanding, that medicalization of a natural state of being, which I believe is actually an evolutionary stage, physiologically speaking. My background is in nursing. I'm a trained nurse, I'm a trained massage therapist, I'm a trained healer, I've got all these things, you know. But the point is that I think we're coming into a time now where there are so many people that are waking up so quickly, and so many parents are out there are kind of floundering around going, I don't know how to deal with this. I've suddenly got these kids who are incredibly sensitive. They're having all sorts of difficult responses to the typical way of running life. And unfortunately, the majority are not prepared for that. It's not understood yet what we're dealing with. So I kind of feel like my role is to be that transitional phase for people where they can see that, okay, I've got this child who's not responding to anything in the world out there. They're not responding in a way that's healthy or happy or harmonious for their well-being or for the family ecosystem. So my role is kind of to help them bridge that gap between where they've been and the dramatic need for the parent to change first, right? You know, people get caught up into this idea of there's something wrong with my child, I've got to fix my child, they've got all these issues. And that is true to an extent, but the medical system kind of forgets that there's always an underpinning cause. It's always about the Band-Aid. How can we fix our children? So what I bring to the party, I guess, is that your children are not broken. You're not broken. There's nothing broken here other than perhaps the system that we're trying to dismantle in order to create a new one that serves where we're going as families. So I like to take parents first and say, hey, you know, let's look at you. You, in fact, are probably a highly sensitive person. You probably have been suppressing your innate knowing, your intuition, your capacities, your abilities, because society told you, I'm getting goosebumps about that, society told you that you were wrong, that it wasn't okay for you to feel the way you feel, for you to be the way you are. That was certainly my experience. So it takes a long time for parents to undo their own wiring, to undo their own limiting belief systems and approaches to parenting. As Zoe said, not everybody is afforded the opportunity to come in consciously to parenting. Most people don't come in consciously to parenting these days, although more and more do. I think the new generations coming up behind us, I'm old, you know, the new generations coming up behind us are much more aware of the necessity to nurture these beautiful little beings in their pristine, pure state, rather than suppress them and try to make them conform. So there's definitely a tide turning at the moment. So I look after the parents, giving the parents, you know, skills, support, self-discovery. Who are you first? And then what are your values? What do you want to impart to your children that you know about, having spent eons, you know, it feels like eons, in this human realm in this lifetime? You know, what do you really truly believe, and is it what society is telling you, and is it aligned with your own integrity? Is it what you believe to be true? And then listening, you know, Zoe, you picked up on this so well. Listening, observing, following the lead of our children who are already innately onto it. They know what they're here to do. They know why they're here. They just need us to hold that space with some, you know, honor and some sacred energy to allow them to flourish into their divine purpose for being on the planet. Their wiring is exactly what this planet needs to shift us into these higher realms of existence. So I'm getting goosebumps all over the place. So yeah, that's where I come from. I'm also a healer, so I've got the allopathic, you know, medicine understanding. I'm a medical intuitive, so I used to use my medical intuition with my nursing and, you know, hide behind the nursing qualification. I'm not really, a little bit weird. And now I gave up my nursing registration 2 months ago, which was the most freeing thing I've done in a decade, so that I can embrace the truth of who I really am in a very public way and show my children, my 13 and my 15-year-old almost, show my children that it's okay for them to be them. But in actual fact, when I'm really honest about it, they were the reason that I was able to finally step into myself and go, you know what? My son is one of these amazing kids. He just goes, no apologies for who he is. This is how I am. You just like it or leave it. And so he's been very instrumental in me stepping into my power. Thanks, Will. because I can't get away with it. And this is the thing with parents too. We can't get away with our old patterns and systems anymore. We cannot do it. Our children will break those down for us if we don't do it ourselves. So to all of you parents out there who are perhaps struggling with knowing what to do with your kids who are really on a different whole plate of existence, you know, this is the way. It's work with yourself first to understand who you are, and then listen to your kids, because they know what they're doing a lot of the time. Yeah, so that's where I'm coming from. Who wants to jump in next?
Yes, I feel so much resonance with everything that you both said. Like, this is how I also, like you, Zoe, I prepared for my child from conceiving, and always understanding this. This is an amazing soul coming to a little body, and how can I make it more comfortable for her, like an easy landing in this world. And also what you were saying, Christy, that it's really the parents who need to do the work, because these children come with everything very clear. You know, they're amazing souls on a mission, and they chose their parents because they knew that these parents are ready to hold a space for them, right? Us, well, I guess everyone listening to this are the perfect parents for these souls to flourish. So they knew what they were doing. And it's really more a work for the parents, you know, to be able to be holding that space in a way that feels good, you know, as well. And this is where I come with my work too. I've been a healer for years, and a children's yoga teacher, and a children's yoga teacher trainer. So I really have so much vocation to spread the message about, you know, kids being big souls in little bodies, and how to respect them, and how to help as adults to be in tune with their energy, and really hold a space from our own alignment, and like working on our own energy to hold a space for them. And then, you know, having my child for me was such a big experience and initiation, because like you said, Zoe, I wanted everything to be perfect according to all that I've been researching for years, and you know, what I've observed, what I learned from other parents. So I have like, oh, this is the way it feels right for me, and it's not always as perfect as you would like it. And for me, it's been also a journey of surrendering. And I know for many parents, many different things, you know. For me, like birth and like the first months were easy. Like I had like no problems, like, you know, like breastfeeding for 4 years, and other parents I know that struggle with things that I didn't struggle, but I did experience times of frustration that, oh no, this is not what I really feel like this is right for my child. And it's really that acceptance that this amazing soul, that's my daughter, is choosing this, that she gets to choose too her life experiences, you know, and also make peace with the fact that we also did that for ourselves. We as souls make choices to experience and learn from that maybe they don't feel that well when we're like that perfect when we're experiencing them, like they're painful, or they put us into our edges, you know, like, oh like this is not really that nice. But accept that at some level I created this reality for myself so that I can grow, right? And make peace with that, and be forgiving with my own self, with my soul, that, oh, okay, I created for me, for example, I'm a single mom, you know, and it's been really hard for me, not only, you know, all the work that implies to be one parent, but also because in my dream reality, it's you know, it's a 2 people caring for the child, at least, if not a whole community, right? An extended family, a loving family. And for me, it was a very big burden, I could say, in a way that I felt so alone doing this. And from consciousness, wanting to, you know, like having my kid rooted in nature, and we grow our own food. Like I was off the grid, being by myself, with so much stuff coming from all that, like the excess I feel like had on me, to to carry this vision by myself, you know. and I felt frustrated, and then I had to make peace with the fact that I created that reality for myself, because there was something really important for me to learn from this experience that, you know, like, and it's so deep that it's not, I don't know if I can share that much in this short space, but it was such a life journey to really make peace with the fact that the reality was not exactly like I would have liked, or didn't look like the picture of my new earth dream. And also to make peace with that, okay, my daughter is also creating her reality, and the things that are not perfect, it's really what she's choosing so that she can fulfill her mission, right? Because we need those challenges, or bueno, each person is creating their own reality, but it's really what they need in order to awaken what the gifts that they're bringing to the world, right? To be able to be who they came here to be, you need those little things, you know, that you put on your own road, like meet this person, you know, like get dirty on this hole or whatever. You know, this whole path it's really when we can be forgiving and connect to our hearts and to the truth of our soul, we're like, okay, we put this challenge for our own good, really, in a very high perspective. We can make that same peaceful conclusion with the life of our children, you know. And for me, getting out of that crisis, and you know, I already been like in a spiritual path and in a conscious way of living for like 20 years when I became a mother, and all these challenges like really put me on the edge. Like I had to go to like a deep soul, dark soul of the night, and really heal so much from my family lines and make sense of, oh, okay, this is all these realities. And then finally I came out with the strength in my heart to really trust my own guidance, you know, my own soul, the perfection of everything that is, even if it's not like I would have liked, right? It's like making peace with what is, and recognizing that there is an amazing opportunity in everything that we get to experience, and this also for our children. So this journey has been so beautiful because I can feel this heart opening, and this is what I'm facilitating now, and this is very new for me. It's like coming out of this dark soul the night journey. I'm bringing this information of connecting with your heart portal, connecting with your soul mission, connecting really to the soul of our children, so that we can be in peace with whatever it's on our path, you know, even if we didn't plan it that way. And I know that we're big in visions, and we have our values and our visions, and we have the manifesting power, and that manifesting power is also coming from our soul level, you know, that things that we chose before coming here. And I feel it's very empowering to know why we did those choices, and be in gratitude and in love and in forgiveness to ourselves. So this is I feel like it resonates so much with what you're saying, you know, like being extra sensitive, being whatever it is that we came to experience.
Debbie, can I just jump in briefly there as well? I just wanted to, because Tash has given us, you know, this incredible opportunity to write about disrupting the system. And, you know, I think there's what you're sharing about that dark night of the soul that you go through with parenting. In many ways, it's like these little beings that come through are the disruptors of the system, because only a generation back, they were, you know, children were considered in the white westernized model anyway, you know, that they should be seen and not heard, you know, that they should very much be of a lesser status than the adults that are in control, you know. And these these little children, they're coming through and they're saying, no, it's not like that. This is not how how it is. And so I think when we begin the parenting journey, because like you, I also had a massive background of 20 odd years of spiritual sort of practice and creating the life that I wanted for these children to come through with. But then we are met with what society is currently offering us in the world, not only our own parental healing, our own inner child healing, but we're having to face the lack of structure and support systems. And I know Kirsty wants to speak to this, so I won't speak anymore, but that's what we are up against, and that's why it's often very uncomfortable, the parenting journey. There is a lot of grit involved as well as grace. And it's partly because the old way of parenting these little humans into the world is not really working. We don't have the village and we don't have the structures to support, single parents, but even family structures. I think there's a reason why they call them nuclear families. And they're ready to blow, they're ready to, they're just not meant to be as they are. That tribal village approach, is I think so helpful when it comes to child rearing. Anyway, I'll stand back now. Thank you.
The village mentality, it's a new modern village, isn't it, that we're trying to create, because the world, is full of single parents in all sorts of combinations. It's really something that needs to be looked at. But this is the point, though. When we open our heart portal, we start connecting with other like resonances, and we're creating a network, a literal pattern of energetics that can hold and sustain those single parent families and all families, really. But it's up to us to create that network, and that's what the heart portal parenting is about too, is all of us resonating in that way to hold that structure, that new structure in place for these families. Kirsty, what's been your experience? What's your caper? Tell us about you.
I've loved everything you ladies have spoken about. I just agree with it all. It's I suppose from my angle as a naturopath, my vision and mission has really been to start way back from that preconception journey as to that consciousness of creating what sort of children we do want to bring into the planet. And I suppose it's just getting all the other stuff out of the way so that they can have the best start in life, really. There's always going to be reasons for, this is your area, Christy Lee, with the neurodivergent kids and the sensitivity. I believe there is such a reason for those children. They have such a special role and place. I want to kind of get away the stuff that doesn't need to be there, the overload of people's systems with the levels of pollutants and toxicity that we are exposed to, and what that does to a developing baby, and then continues for their whole life. So that's kind of my role as the the working on the physical health, but again that whole purpose behind it is what I believe is that if we can bring the most optimally healthy child into the world, and we don't have this diversion or distraction of all the health ailments, I guess I've been in this career for, almost 20 years, and I see so many children that have so many ailments, because of course, you're only coming to get help when there's something wrong, usually. So there's, just the amount of issues that we see in the kids, particularly, I don't know, I reckon it really has been even just in this last decade, I've seen it really ramp up. And I believe it's our environment. I believe it's, us not being conscious of how we're bringing kids into the world. If I can impart some of that knowledge, some of that education around, the importance that you beautiful ladies already are aware of, but to bring that to people that have, I guess, no idea of that, our health is set up even before we're conceived. I take that for granted that everybody knows that stuff, but they don't. And that's what I want to bring awareness around. If we can start way back in that stage, preparing mum and dad for conceiving the healthiest child possible, once that child comes into the world, then their bodies function the way they're meant to as well. You know, it's like they can get over common ailments without, like what I'm seeing, and this is what I wrote about in my chapter, what I'm seeing so much of is all of these common things like frequent infections or whatever it may be. Like herbal medicines and gentle therapies used to work so well at getting over those issues, and it seems like it's so much more stubborn now. And I just believe it's because of everything in our environment and the overload of the pharmaceutical medicines that kids are placed on really since before birth. So it's kind of like a trying to work way upstream. So when those beautiful children come into the world, they're not distracted by all of these illnesses, and then they can really tap into their reasons for being here. Like, you know, Zoe and Christy were saying, it's that those reasons for being here, getting to their purpose much quicker. Like, again, I'm 40 plus, so I'm in the generation too that I've had to spend the 20 years soul development work, to get to this point. So wouldn't it be nice if these new generation of kids, they don't have to spend 20, 30, 40 years of their life, like half their lives basically getting to what their mission is. So that's really what I feel my purpose is to work way upstream with the parents, that education, and all the way through supporting mum through that pregnancy, to have an uncomplicated pregnancy, naturopathic birth preparation, and I've only sort of experienced that all in the last 4 years with my two. I've got two boys, a 4-year-old and a 6-month-old, and I did a lot of prep around having the healthiest pregnancy I could, so I could have this ideal natural birth. With my second son 6 months ago, and definitely with flexibility around that. Birth is not guaranteed. Birth is totally, you need to surrender to that. But the biggest thing I learned about my two births is it's the preparation and then the letting go, and getting out of the mind and letting the body do its thing with as minimal intervention as possible. And that's where I want to help people to prepare for that as well, because so much I think we're unaware of our power too, as women and men. Men's role in birth is absolutely phenomenal. Without my husband's absolute trust and certainty that things would be okay, I probably would have birthed maybe in a different way. We chose to birth our last child at home, medically unassisted, completely reliant on my own intuition. If I felt something was going to happen that would need, to be transferred to hospital, say, everything was so straightforward and perfect. But I believe, we did a lot of preparation. It's not just willy-nilly going, oh, yep, it's all going to be fine. It's doing that preparation, education around at least having the best chance possible. And then, at the same time, the hospital bag is packed next to the bed. And if at any point I felt intuitively like something wasn't quite right, off we'd go. It wasn't this stubbornness, determination of that's it, I'm not going through the system. But it's giving permission and giving into our, I guess, just that inner wisdom and knowledge. I really, like, through this whole birth experience, this free birthing experience for me, it was tapping into this ancient ancestral knowledge. And I really tapped into that during my birth as well. And just the power of that, that we have as women, that I think is still so suppressed in this society, that we need these experts outside of us to tell us how to do it, what to do, all this stuff. And then when you get out of the way, when everyone else gets out of the way and that mother and father are left in that space, like together, like that is just so powerful. And I'm so grateful I got to experience that. And because of experiencing that, that's what's really led to sort of a deeper level of this sort of preconception care mission. It's in that whole preparation, every step of the way, and then helping to treat kids, with all those common ailments, helping to teach parents what to do. We don't need to run to the Panadol when the child has a fever or they're teething. We've got other natural remedies that we can use first. And yes, drugs are there for a reason. Like God, they work so well, when you need them. If you're in an absolute state of pain that nothing will relieve, that's great, but not used as the first line of therapy. Like, my wish is that, we can go back to learning how to use kitchen remedies, natural remedies, homeopathics, crystal healing, energy healing. The amount of times me and my husband do, energy healing on our kids too, that's all they need. We don't need to give them anything. It's literally being there. It's the skin to skin, it's the feeding, it's the hand on the chest or the heart or the back, whatever comfort is needed. There's so much power in all of that stuff. So I think it's really acknowledging that we have everything within us that we need. And we don't need to, parenting, I think we all get, and God, me with my 20 years of naturopathic knowledge, like I still have to trust, that things will be okay. But it's getting into that intuition as a parent and not thinking that someone else is going to know best for your child. I think that's like really key, is that if we can tap into that, we know our child, like you said, Christy and Zoe, they've chosen us, and for a reason. So we have everything that they need. Yes, that's I'll end it there.
It's really cool too that that working at the super grassroots level from an embodiment perspective, where we're spiritual, sure, but we're human. We wouldn't have incarnated if we hadn't a purpose for being in this body, and this body has what we require in order to get to the end of this particular lifetime with the people we're next to. But I love what you're saying, Kirsty, about getting into that grassroots, teaching people the fundamentals of the planet and their body's healing technologies that are available to us right in our backyard most of the time, right there. I mean, it's amazing how many medicinal weeds are planted in your backyard if you knew what they were. Right. So I really like that idea of stripping away. And it's similar. You're coming from the medicinal side. I'm coming from the sort of stress management. Right. So bringing the stress load of the physiology down to a point where the natural innate healing capacity of the being can come forward, then you're not going to end up with all those disasters in 20 years' time. I see more and more and more kids, younger and younger and younger, families at their wits' end because their children are having all these symptoms that shouldn't be there at that age, and this is where the plethora of labels has all come from these days as well, all the new diagnoses. It's because the medical system is seeing an influx of heavily toxified, stressified, if that's a word, families and children, that's activated ancestral genealogy, epigenetically triggering all sorts of cascades of problems in these children younger and younger. It's worth talking about the development stages too. We've talked a little bit about the different, parenting from the early conception and early childhood. But the development stages, people forget about that these days. Our children are going through hormonal shifts. They're dealing with more stress and trauma than we ever thought we would ever need to move through as people on this planet. And coming at parenting at each one of those development stages can be so different. It changes all the time. Mine are a little bit older. So I'm going to shut up now too, throw over to Jo.
Thanks, Christy. I feel like we can all relate and have a similar experience with raising children. I absolutely believe that children have been sent to us to teach us something about ourselves, where we need to grow within our own personal development, how to be a better wife, sister, daughter, a mother. And each of my children have definitely stepped into my life in crucial stages. So I have a 13-year-old son. I have 3 boys, 13, a 12-year-old and a 4-year-old. And I'm glad that Kirsty touched on naturopath, because the first time I was actually introduced to that was 4 years ago when I was pregnant with my 4-year-old. And at the time I had a cough and I knew that I couldn't take anything like Panadol. So once I stepped into that and just sort of thought, okay, what can I take? That was when I first really relied on that, naturopath. And ever since then, my son is now 4. I have only once ever had to give him a Nurofen, but he has never touched anything else. Like I truly believe that with ancient wisdom, like we all innately have that knowledge within ourselves, and we know how to raise our children. We know how to guide them. And so you know, we have to sort of simplify it. I feel like we always complicate things. Like that's our human design. Like generally in the society that we live in, is that we need to just make it basic, go back to our ancestral roots, think about how they were living back in those days when there was no medical intervention. There was no, you know, calling the doctor when there was a fever and this and that. Like we basically, our children will basically tell us like what is going on with them, and we have to hold space and embrace them and just say everything is okay. And that, you know, it's a community, like we all know it takes a village to raise our children, you know, having like-minded women who support each other rather than tearing each other down and saying you shouldn't do this and you shouldn't do that. Where does it say that? There's no manual when you have children, right? And when we birth our children into this world, we actually then activate that inner wisdom of our own maternal instincts. And I'm getting all like because like there's so many sorry, I'm getting emotional with all the children out there that are so
never apologize for being emotional.
you know, like there's so many children out there that are hurting. They are hurting in terms of like emotional abandonment, that sort of thing. So I really love working with children, and that is what I have stepped into recently, is that my motherhood experience is that really getting down to ground level and being with our children and understanding them, nurturing them, nourishing them with all the love that we can give them, especially when you've gone through like abandonment. You know, everyone has their inner child pains and stuff that we all are working through. So yeah, that's it. Before I'm a problem mess. I just truly believe that children are given to us for a reason, and that we can tap into our innate wisdom, and we all really know what is best for our children. No relying on systems, no giving our power to the system or the government or the people that know it all. We need to take our power back and step into our, you know, true essence, and just having fun with it. Really, just having fun with it and not taking it too seriously.
Yes, absolutely, Joe. Thank you so much for your share, because it's really taking back that power to the parents, right? That are connected like no one else to their own kids, and you know, parents are the ones who know what's right for their kid. Maybe something else works for another family, and that's great, but really only people who are so involved, you know, in the life of the kid know what's the best for them. I feel like there's that fine-tunement. Once you know, a young man asked me like, what's the most important you thinking in your relationship with your child? And I feel like it's a connection, right? Because if we are having that heart-to-heart connection, then I can read her, I can help her navigate in the world, right? Like I can feel her feelings, I can feel her interests, so I can guide her, because she knows what's good for her, but you know, we the adults know how the world works and how to get to that class that will be exciting for her, or that relationship or that experience. You know, we can help them, you know, organize their interests, their passions, or their feelings, you know, whatever they're feeling. So I feel like it's really that, give the power back to ourselves as parents, you know, like recognizing that, and we can be inspired by so many other people, but really tuning into, okay, what do I feel here, and what do I feel in that connection to this child I am holding space for, that I am here to you know, take care of this amazing soul that still it's just got here, you know, and needs a little bit of grounding, or how this world works, and that's where we can really help them.
And forgive ourselves, you know, forgive ourselves as well, you know, for making mistakes. We're all human, you know, we're going to mess up from time to time, but you know, that's exactly right. If we can take the pressure off ourselves a little bit that way, let go of the guilt, let go of the angst, let go of the frustration, you know, and really tune in. It's creating that safe container for our kids to be heard and seen. So it's beautiful. Sorry, Zoe, I think I talked over the top of you.
Yeah,
That's
no,
my ADHD. I just like,
no, it's exciting talking about this. We've all got so much sort of, you know, passion around it. I just wanted to respond to, you know, to Joe and, you know, circle back to this passion that I have of mine, which does relate to the work that I do now, because I was an acupuncturist and a natural therapist for almost 20 years. I did a variety of different things. And I've transitioned now into feminine embodiment work, which is what I offer to women and often to mothers. And, you know, I guess why I'm linking it with Joe is that you know, what you shared, that pure grief that you shared, is something that I see a lot in my work. And it is something that relates to many different things. And one of the things it relates to is that when we become parents, there's many things that happen. So in our physical bodies, you know, when we actually give birth, we have to process our own birth traumas. When we are growing a baby and when, you know, our womb is expanding and we actually physically give birth, however that is for us, I found with every child that I've birthed into the world, a whole lot of new creativity has come into being. And, you know, so this creative power within woman as she births and then nurtures her children. Now, for many of us, that isn't an easy ride, and we do have to face all of the things that maybe we weren't even aware of in our own sort of journeys. Like you mentioned, Joe, abandonment and you know, those longings that as small children are somehow deep down in our psyche that haven't actually had that space until we have children, and then we're faced with their needs and they sort of collide with our own needs as women. So one of the things that I'm deeply passionate about is how to nourish and sustain the woman, because it's been my observation that women are like the centers of the families, whether they're single mamas or whether they're partnered. They are the like nourishment base of the children, and a lot of that is the heart. But we can't do that if we're not well resourced, if we don't have space in our own lives to integrate some of these traumas that we carry through our own conditioning and upbringing. And so, you know, so that's something I'm deeply passionate about, is being a well-resourced woman, and that involves space for our own creativity to emerge. It involves enough spaciousness in our life that we can fill our own cups, so that we can then like give that love out to our children and to others. And it also involves like spaciousness and the ability for our own beings to come into a state of expressiveness. You know, because if we have all these emotions, it doesn't matter what we say to our children. If those emotions are within us and we haven't integrated them or found a way to express them so that we can come into our wholeness more, then our children, they will respond to that so much more than our words. And so, you know, none of us are perfect. We're not meant to be perfect. We're all on this kind of clumsy, lumpy journey together as we, you know, make our own way as parents. But this is something that I'm deeply passionate about, is moving away from perfection and you know, allowing ourselves to get a little bit grubby in the journey of like feel the feelings, express the feelings, integrate the feelings, and embrace ourselves as a whole-bodied woman. And part of that is support that we need to bring in. Another part of that is space to be in our own embodiment. You know, I think some of the time as women, everybody else's needs are ahead of ours, and we're multitasking to the max. We've got work obligations, children obligations, house obligations, all these things that sort of clutter our existence. And you know, the thing that I found the most powerful is all those things are there, but we have to prioritize coming back into the body. And that embodiment is something that children know how to do. Children and animals, you know, they are naturally in their bodies. And, you know, so they are our wise teachers to remind us that it's okay to be in our bodies too, not in our minds and our heads. And so that rhythmic quality can come into our own body rhythm and the rhythm that we hold for our children, so that they can actually stay in their bodies and not be forced into their minds and into, you know, being ahead of themselves energetically. Yeah.
Thanks for touching on that, Zoe. I'm just going to add on to that. When you spoke about birth trauma, I actually didn't understand that I had my own birth trauma story as well. And so my chapter is based on my two sky babies. So there's a lot of like ongoing healing with that. And for myself, it's recently I've learned that I really need to be in my divine feminine energy. And I didn't realize that I was like always in my masculine, because I'm an Aries, so I'm like go getter, on the go, like let's do this, let's do that, like goal oriented. And in the last 2 years I've really had to slow down and like really prioritize what was important to me. And so that's what my chapter's about, my two sky babies. But this weekend I am going on a divine feminine retreat, so I am prioritizing myself. So it's right. It's like, you know, it's a daily practice of putting yourself first. You know, you can't pour from an empty cup. And so, you know, finding ways to fill myself up, give me time and space to you know, to be in my body, because as we all know, running like a household is just juggling act, you know. And so like I have learned to slow down, be in my body. Meditating is a great thing for me as well, in breath work. So thank you for touching on that, Zoe, because it shows that we're all on the right journey, right?
Yeah, definitely. I just wanted to say one more thing, that circling back to what Christy was talking about as well, about the stages of development with children. And this is also something that I'm very deeply passionate about, as probably many of you guys are, is those rites of passage, you know. So those rites of passage for us as women, as in becoming a mother, and honouring all of those journey points for us along our path, going back from, you know, from the moment of being a mother back, but then also forward in time for ourselves and our children. And this is something, you know, I think is really important, those very fundamental rites of passage that each of our children will go through, be it boy or girl, turning into man, into woman. And, you know, I'm sure some of you guys want to speak more about that, but I just wanted to mention that. And on a schooling level, you know, both of my children are in Steiner, which I feel extremely grateful for. They find many ways to layer in the little rites of passage. So one such small example is when children graduate, they have roses, and they go round to each class backward, you know, from the beginning of their preschool through, and they give flower, like a rose, to the teacher in each room, you know. So that's an example of walking back through your transitional times before you leave your schooling. There's the rainbow bridge that they do from preschool, and like so finding ways, researching ways that we can do this as parents for our children, and structures that we can invest in that nurture our children through these rites of passage. Yeah.
I just want to jump in there, and I know we're running out of time, so I'll try and keep it short. What we haven't had time to talk about, and which I think is really a shame that we haven't had a father in this group to talk, because one of, you know, this rise of the feminine is really important. The reclaiming of the feminine embodiment is vital, but it's equally as vital that the masculine is brought up to speed in that way also, because I'm raising a son, and I've been completely at a loss as to how to help my son become the man he wants to be without a strong male parent to model that for him. So I really feel like I want to bring the men into this conversation. So if there's any men who are parents in this group watching our talk, please comment in the thread. We'd love to hear from you of what it takes from a father to be a parent in this age as well, and to look after the boys who are coming through, because they don't have a template. The men, you know, the old way of parenting was so hardline. It was so authoritarian. It was so speak and not be heard. You know, or what is that saying? You know, shut up, don't say anything. Don't express your emotions. What does real masculine leadership mean as a parent these days? Because in order for a woman to step into her full mother, you know, embodiment, the masculine has to be present too. Like Joe was saying, I was the same. I'm sure you as well, Debbie. With being a single mother, you have to hold the balance of masculine and feminine, and you lose the feminine because our society is based on a masculine model. So you forget how to be woman. But there are men who have the capacity to move into this new age of parenting with us. Kirsty, it sounds like your husband is really getting that and knows what that looks like. You know, for the feminine to flow and swell and parent and nourish and nurture, we need the directional, the strong, the fun, the leadership of the masculine as well. So this is what society needs to do next, I believe, is bring both up into the same playing field and work together. Not, you know, the mother does everything or the father has to do this. It's like, let's work on this together. You know, it's hard when you're single, because, you know, where do you find that?
Yeah, such a good point, Christy Lee. I am really lucky that my husband is just as full on into the parenting as I am, and sharing that, and that and that's him. He just walked in the door with the 6-month-old.
In a portal, you know, head into the universe.
Yeah. And yeah, like we just are on the same page. You know, it's not about one parent doing all the thing and the other one is the provider. It's, you know, we've structured our lives that you know, we just we're home for our kids, we share that parenting, we're trying to develop, you know, more of an entrepreneurial situation that we can sustain our family through working flexibly in our own business. Yeah, it's just totally different structure to the, you know, the typical, you know, husband works 9 to 5 in the full-time job and, you know, comes home, you know, lucky to come home for bath or bedtimes. You know, that's not been my experience, and thank God, because, you know, I wouldn't want to be a parent in that kind of situation. You know, that's not for me. It's about doing it together. It's being the team. And we need each other. Like, he has such strengths to offer, and I've got boys, so I'm so grateful that, you know, he's such an influence and impact, and so sensitive and so in tune with their needs. You know, is that sort of conscious male, and
Craig's
that strong.
Craig's in the chat here, and he just said, he just summarized it: finding balance for both genders in our masculine and feminine, in ourselves first, so that what you're talking about can actually happen. Where both are holding, you know, their own balance, so that you can be balanced as a couple in your parenting as well, and raise balanced children, because isn't that what we're looking for? We're almost out of time.
Just one thing, I wanted to invite in Elias into the space, because I actually co-wrote my chapter with Elias. And Elias and I met through the Steiner School. He actually approached me and asked if I would do some work with him, and I absolutely said yes, because this is something, working with women for so many years, I have seen that, you know, there is a sort of mismatch with the masculine and the feminine and that sort of thing. And so I always knew that it's really this next phase is the masculine in rising, in being fully, you know, finding their absolute juice to offer the next generation. And so Elias and I actually teamed up, and we run events for men and for women. He's got 4 beautiful children as well, and he'll be talking in the chat about a new way of relating. I think that's on Thursday. So there's another male voice in the mix there.
Great.
Fabulous.
Debbie, back to you, darling. As the host.
Well, thank you so much for all that we have shared. It's been really amazing to have this conversation, and maybe we can extend it some other time. Create another circumstance to share more, because I feel there's a lot more to share.
A lot.
So maybe we can create it here in the group, or at some point we'll see how can it happen. But yeah, let's definitely meet again and share more about this topic. And then if people watching can comment and ask questions and share their own experiences, we can really make this conversation and expand more, like bring in more topics. And yeah,
should we jump around the circle and just let people know how they can find us?
sure.
We didn't do that, did we? Did we do that? I can't remember. Debbie.
No, well, I facilitate heart portal opening and journeys and higher self embodiment. So I do like a 13-week process where we really tune into our hearts and open up this portal. And then for me, this brings a lot of peace to the clients I work with, because they find their, why they're here, what they're doing, and make peace with their stories, and like heal that part so that they can move forward for the new earth and what they're here to really do, and with that sense of enjoyment. So, and I do have a Linktree where I have my offer there, and you can find me on Facebook as well, or Instagram as Debbie Tamay. All my social media and my website Linktree is also Debbie Tamay. So
thank you. For those of you watching, we'll drop all our links in the chat as well, so that you can find us.
Yeah, great idea.
Yeah, I'll just say real quick, my 9-week program for families who are raising neurodivergent children or happen to be neurodivergent themselves as parents, as I am. It's a 9-week support, skills, self-discovery program to enhance your family ecosystem for more happiness, harmony, health, all the good things. That's called Activate Your Potential. And also I'm offering a discovery call, 30-minute free me map, which is a special model that I created through various means. Me mapping consult, you can find that. I'll give you the link in the chat as well. Thank you for listening. Who's up next? Kirsty, do you want to let us know about you?
Thanks, Christy Lee. Yeah, you can find me. My website's just kirstybednar.com. So that's got information about where I am, what I do with my clinic. I do in person, I do online. Programs will be to come. So yeah, I do work with anyone who really just wants, to become their own best health expert, but particularly with preparing couples to, consciously bring that little being into the world. Yeah, so I will be developing some couples programs to come, some sort of health, health challenges, health resets, that type of thing, just to, change habits, get on the path of really becoming, having the best health they can.
So I'll jump in there too. I'm Zoe from Soul Arts. So that's Soul, SOUL -arts, ARTS.com. Basically, I offer journeys for women and also sacred journeys. Elias and I, we do masculine, feminine work for those who really want to do very deep transformational work, whatever that is that's alive for them in their lives. We also do ceremonial work and a variety of different things. From a woman's point of view, I offer the Feminine Embodiment Certified Training, which has been a 10-month journey in person and online, and I'm also now offering that as a 5-month journey online with a 7-day retreat. So Zoe Soul Arts is Instagram and Facebook, and love to connect. It's been an honour today. Thank you.
And I'm Jo Thompson. You can find me on Instagram and Facebook. So I am launching a 3-month container of one-on-one mentoring to activate your inner queen. So letting go of the disharmony within your home so you can create harmony and tranquility for yourself and your family. Thanks.
All right. I think that wraps us up, doesn't it? 5 past.
Excellent.
Yes, beautiful, beautiful. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. I hope everyone's enjoyed the chat. We'll see you in the portal for the next cool talk, right?
Awesome.
Yay.
The next talk is actually in an hour and is on embodiment. How to bring in different embodiment practices. I'll be sort of sharing that, and we've got 6 beautiful facilitators, 6 beautiful speakers who will be giving a whole lot of juicy tools for embodiment practice.
Perfect. Thanks, Zoe.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
Have a beautiful day, everyone.